They were all laughing, the sound echoing in the poorly lit dining room of my mom's house, a chorus of delighted, malicious giggles while I stood there, phone pressed to my ear, reading the text that felt like a physical blow. "You're banned from Thanksgiving, idiot. 87 missed calls." That's how many times my phone blew up. Less than 40. 8 hours after I calmly accepted my Thanksgiving banishment and made my own plans. 87 times my family tried to call me back, their laughter now replaced with panic, their perfectly planned holiday feast crumbling into absolute chaos because of one thing they never bothered to consider. Was I wrong for simply saying okay to a holiday ban, knowing full well the disaster it would cause them? Was my quiet acceptance and subsequent silence the ultimate revenge? Tell me honestly if you would have done the exact same thing in my shoes, because I'm still grappling with the sheer audacity of my own family. The story, the real, bitter, soul-crushing story, starts much earlier than that cruel text, maybe a decade earlier, but we'll focus on the last 2 years, the final descent into what I can only describe as familial warfare, orchestrated by my mother, Eleanor, and her golden child, my sister, Chloe. I'm the middle child, James. I have an older brother, Michael, who mostly stays out of the drama, and then there's Chloe, the youngest, the sweet little princess who could do no wrong. Except in reality, she was a manipulative tyrant with a saccharine smile and a knack for making me look like the villain. My crime, I was the one who left. I moved 3 states away for a lucrative job in tech, something my family, rooted deeply in their small, insulated town, viewed as a personal affront, a betrayal of the family unit, or maybe just a sign that I thought I was better than them. They didn't understand my career, they didn't understand the long hours or the complicated projects, so they just dismissed it as playing with computers. I always made the effort, though. Every major holiday, every birthday, I would fly back, renting a car, staying in a hotel, and absorbing the silent, judgmental atmosphere of their home. It was exhausting, financially and emotionally. This year, Thanksgiving was supposed to be at Mom's house, a tradition that dated back decades. The guest list was massive. The core family, various aunts, uncles, and a whole slew of cousins. My mom, Eleanor, has always been the hostess, the matriarch who took immense pride in the flawless execution of the meal. She didn't just cook, she orchestrated a culinary symphony, but here's the catch and the critical detail that sets the stage for the implosion. She didn't pay for it. Not all of it, anyway. For years, ever since her retirement, the family dinner, especially the huge, expensive holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas, was a carefully constructed facade of self-sufficiency. In reality, the cost was split. My older brother Michael and I were the primary financial contributors. We each had a silent, unwritten agreement to cover the bulk of the main expenses. The turkey, the specialty ingredients, the wine, the catering for appetizers because we were the highest earners. Chloe, the golden princess, was responsible for the desserts, which, to be frank, she always bought pre-made from a fancy bakery and took all the credit for. Mom would buy the basic staples and do the bulk of the cooking labor, but Michael and I covered the 5-figure grocery bill that came with feeding 30 plus people gourmet food. This wasn't an insignificant amount, it was thousands of dollars easily. This arrangement was quiet, known only to the 3 siblings and my mother, precisely because Mom wanted to maintain the image that she was doing it all herself. The conflict that led to my banishment started with the new refrigerator. Mom's old fridge finally conked out in October, a catastrophic failure that threatened the entire holiday season. A massive, industrial-sized stainless steel model was needed to handle the volume of food for the upcoming feast. Naturally, Mom immediately texted Michael and me, demanding we split the cost of the $3,500 replacement. Michael, bless his heart, immediately wired his half. No questions asked. I hesitated. I was already flying in, renting a car, and paying for a hotel, all while dealing with a huge project deadline at work. I texted back politely and said, "Mom, I've already committed to covering the $2,000 for the organic turkey and the specialty cheeses this year. Let's hold off on the fridge until after the holiday, or better yet, maybe Chloe can cover the other half since she lives locally and uses it all the time." The response was immediate, and it came not from Mom, but from Chloe, who was always lurking, ready to defend her mother's honor and her own pristine reputation. Her text to the family group chat, which included Michael, Mom, and our two aunts, Clara and Brenda, was a masterclass in passive-aggressive martyrdom. "Wow, James, always so selfish. You can afford to fly across the country every other month for your big-shot job, but you can't help Mom when she needs a fridge to host your family. It's not about the money for us, it's about the principle. I guess some people forget where they came from." This wasn't a private argument anymore. It was public, and my aunts, who idolized my mother and were already predisposed to viewing me as the prodigal son who abandoned them, immediately jumped in. Aunt Clara chimed in with a series of crying emojis and the comment, "James, that's really low. Your mother is distraught." Aunt Brenda added, "She works so hard for all of us. Just pay the bill, honey." I felt my blood pressure rising. I texted back, firmly but factually, "I love Mom and I pay for more of the holiday than anyone realizes. My suggestion was reasonable. I have paid for all of my travel and the most expensive components of the meal. Chloe, you've never contributed more than $1.50 box of desserts. $1,750 fridge is a big ask last minute." That's when Mom, Eleanor, sent the text that started this whole mess. She didn't even type it herself. Chloe, sitting right next to her, was clearly the one who sent it from her mother's phone, accompanied by a picture of a wide, gleeful smile. "You're banned from Thanksgiving, idiot. Find somewhere else to eat this year. Maybe your fancy co-workers can make you a TV dinner." The text was immediately followed by a barrage of heartless laughter emojis from Chloe, Clara, and Brenda. They were literally laughing at me over a phone screen. I didn't argue, I didn't plead, I didn't even respond to the group chat. I simply sent a one-word text back to my mother's number, ***, okay. ***, I felt a quiet, cold resolve settle over me. I immediately canceled my flight, canceled the car rental, and canceled the hotel. I called my best friend, David, who lived in my new state, and asked if his family had room for one more for Thanksgiving. They were thrilled. Their Thanksgiving was low key, just good friends and good food. It was going to be peaceful. My banishment, far from being a punishment, felt like an escape. I even went online and bought a stunning, custom-made artisan centerpiece for David's family as a thank you gift, something I knew my mother would have killed to have on her own table. I enjoyed the silence. The group chat remained active for a few days, full of Mom complaining about the stress and Chloe posting pictures of the new refrigerator that Michael ended up paying for entirely, with a caption, "Like family helps family, glad some people still remember that." I muted the entire thread and focused on my life. I was free. I had a clear conscience, and for the first time in years, I wasn't dreading the holiday. So that's the situation I was in. I was banished, mocked, and frankly, completely disposable to my own family. And here is the absolute critical piece of information that my family, blinded by their own sense of entitlement, completely overlooked in their haste to punish me, the $2,000 for the organic turkey, the specialty charcuterie board, the imported wines, and the high-end catering for the first course was my contribution, and I hadn't paid the vendors yet. The payment was always processed by me just 2 days before the holiday after the final guest count was confirmed. It was an arrangement I'd had with the local specialty butcher and the caterer for years. When I canceled my flight and simply said okay to my mother's text, I made no mention of the payments. The holiday was now less than 48 hours away, and I was sitting in my own apartment, enjoying a nice glass of whiskey, watching a movie. My entire family believed that the most expensive, most crucial parts of their gourmet feast were secured and paid for. They had no idea that their entire holiday rested on my quiet, uncommunicated decision to simply not pay. Before I tell you what happened next and how the entire house of cards came crashing down, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let the feast crumble, or would you have been the bigger person and wired the money for the meal you were banned from? The first call came at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. It was Michael. I let it go to voicemail. He immediately texted me, "Dude, pick up. This is serious." I was making coffee. I ignored it. Then the calls started coming in rapid fire succession. Mom, Chloe, Aunt Clara, Michael again, Aunt Brenda, even a cousin I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. My phone was vibrating off the counter. I just watched it. I had switched my phone to silent and turned off the vibration, but the visual assault of the screen lighting up with frantic, repetitive caller IDs was enough. By 10:00 a.m., I had 35 missed calls. I finally picked up Mom's call at 11:00 a.m., purely because I wanted to hear the panic in her voice. The moment I said hello, I was met with pure, unadulterated hysteria. "James, you have to call the butcher. They just called me. They said the $2,000 payment for the turkey hasn't gone through. They won't release the order. You need to pay now. The dinner is tomorrow." Her tone was a demand, not a plea. It was entitlement, even in the face of disaster. I leaned back in my chair, taking a slow sip of my coffee. "Oh, the turkey?" I asked, my voice calm, almost detached. "Yes, and the caterer, the one for the appetizers, they're holding the order too. You know they won't deliver without payment. What did you do, James?" she wailed. I could hear Chloe in the background shouting something about a credit card number. "Well, Mom," I said, my voice cutting through her panic like ice. "I guess I didn't pay them. Why would I pay for a feast that I am specifically banned from attending? The one you called me an idiot for trying to help with. That $2,000 was my contribution, which I made conditional on my attendance and willingness to support the dinner. Since you and Chloe and the others made it clear I wasn't welcome, I canceled my travel, and I also canceled my contribution." There was a stunned, absolute silence on the line. I could almost hear the blood draining from her face. "You can't do this," she finally shrieked, her voice cracking. "The guests are coming, the whole family. We have nothing to cook." "That sounds like a problem, Mom," I said, a cruel, satisfying calmness in my voice. "Maybe the people who thought my absence was so hilarious can chip in, or maybe Chloe can sell a few of those desserts she buys from the bakery to cover the costs, or hey, maybe Michael can fork out another $2,000 since he's the one who already paid for the fridge." I paused, letting the cold truth sink in. "I'm not paying for the feast I was banned from. You guys made your bed. Enjoy the feast of consequences." I hung up the phone. I didn't even give her a chance to respond. That was call number 36. The next 2 days were a blur of missed calls, desperate, rambling voicemails, and long, emotional texts from every single member of the extended family. Aunt Clara called me a disgrace. Aunt Brenda said I was tearing the family apart over a stupid piece of furniture. Chloe's texts were the most satisfying. A blend of profanity, begging, and thinly veiled threats to ruin my reputation. She even tried to argue that I** was now responsible for their Thanksgiving disaster because I hadn't formally notified them I was canceling the payment, as if being publicly banned from the holiday wasn't notification enough. I didn't respond to a single one. I blocked them all temporarily and enjoyed a wonderful, peaceful, and genuinely appreciative Thanksgiving with David and his family. We had a small, perfectly cooked turkey, a phenomenal homemade apple pie, and the conversation was warm and kind. My phone, safely tucked away, registered call after call, text after text. The 87th missed call came from my cousin, Sarah, right as I was finishing a slice of that amazing apple pie. I never answered. The aftermath was exactly what I deserved. The Thanksgiving dinner at my mother's house was an unmitigated disaster. Michael, trying to salvage the situation, rushed to a local supermarket, but all the decent turkeys were gone. They ended up serving dry, pre-cooked ham, sides from a local diner, and Chloe's sad, overpriced bakery desserts. It was a humiliating spectacle for my mother, who thrives on her reputation as the perfect hostess. The aunts were furious at Mom and Chloe for being so cruel to me, and they were all collectively furious at me for not paying, even though they were the ones who supported my banishment. The shame I heard through Michael was palpable. Mom spent half the evening crying, and Chloe spent the other half loudly blaming me for ruining her perfect vision of the holiday. The whole family had a collective, very public meltdown. The best part, Michael finally saw the light. He called me the day after Thanksgiving, not to chastise me, but to apologize. He admitted he was wrong for immediately paying the full fridge price, and he finally acknowledged the decade of drama and abuse I had put up with. He said he was tired of Chloe's manipulations and Mom's enabling. He was the only one who got an explanation and my forgiveness. As for the others, I finally unblocked them and sent one last text to the family group chat 2 days after the disastrous meal. It simply read, "I hope you all had a very memorable and very cheap Thanksgiving." And then I left the group chat entirely. My relationship with my mother and sister is non-existent now. They still occasionally try to reach out, but the trust is completely broken. I lost a family, but I gained my peace and my self-respect. I learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just say okay, and let the natural consequences of someone else's malice be their own undoing. It was the quietest, most peaceful Thanksgiving I've ever had, and it was bought with the self-respect I earned by not backing down. This experience taught me that setting a firm boundary, even if it feels cruel in the moment, is necessary when dealing with deeply toxic people. It turns out my family only valued me for my wallet, not for my presence, and the moment the wallet was gone, their holiday crumbled. So, what do you think? Was my silence and my subsequent refusal to pay for a feast I was banned from justified? I want to know your thoughts. Like this video if you were on my side in this crazy family feud. Subscribe for more stories like this one, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.